Brenda Quintana coming to you from the Beehive. Today I'm going to show you how to make this fun accordion tea bag holder using the A Nice Cuppa bundle, which consists of the cups and kettles framelits dies and the A Nice Cuppa stamp set. This little tea bag holder has this accordion fold on the side, and this allows for 6 tea bags to be housed on the inside. So let me show you how to make this. To start off with, I'm going to use a piece of thick Whisper White cardstock, and I have cut this piece to 10 inches by 3 inches. I'm going to place the long side in my Simply Scored scoring tool, and then I'm going to score it at the 4 1/4 inch mark and the 5 3/4 inch mark. Then we'll need the Curvy corner trio punch, and we're going to start off with this side that has the slot, so face that towards you. And first let's just fold our piece along the score lines, and we're going to bring the ends together at the top and align them so they match up perfectly. And we're going to slide this right into our punch. And I'm going to make sure that this piece is centered on both sides. So make sure both sides look even. And once you've got them evened out, then you're going to give it a punch. That's going to be our slot for the ribbon. Then I'm going to turn this so that this 2 scallop side faces me, and I'm going to again stick both ends in together, make sure they're still lined up, and I'm going to bring them in and I'm going to give them a punch. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this over to the other side because I want to make sure I punch this in the same way as I just punched this side. So give it another little punch like that. Then both of these scallops will match up on both sides. This is going to become the outside of our tea bag holder. Let's set this aside for a moment so I can show you how to do the accordion. We are going to be using the Have a Cuppa Designer Series paper stack, and this paper has all sorts of tea themed papers in cute colors and tea motifs, tea bags, teacups, kettles, and all that. So it's perfect for making these tea bag holders. I'm going to be using this piece with the different kettles on it, and I wanted to show you how I'm going to cut this. I want to make sure that my tea kettles are facing up when I go and put them on the side of the accordion. You can see here, this pattern right here, all the kettles are facing up like they should. So if you want this side facing up, you're going to turn it on its side. And we're going to put it at the 4 inch mark for cutting. And once you've got that all lined up, you're going to cut it at the 4 inch mark. We're going to save this little 2 by 6 inch piece for later. And then we've got a 4 inch by 6 inch piece of Designer Series paper here. Then you can bring in your Simply Scored scoring board again. And I'm going to put the 6 inch side up at the top of my board. And we're going to score this at all the 1/2 inch marks. So this is the 1/2 inch mark, 1 inch, 1 1/2, 2 inch, 2 1/2, 3 inch, 3 1/2, 4 inch, 4 1/2, 5 inch, and 5 1/2 inch. Then you're going to put your 4 inch side at the top of the trimmer, and I'm going to line it up at the 2 inch mark. And then I'm going to cut it. This will create our 2 sides for our accordion fold. I want this side to be on the outside, so I'm going to start by folding this piece down, and then I'm just going to fold it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until you get all the way to the end, like that. And then I'm going to do the same for the other side. If this is the pattern I want to show on the outside, I'm going to fold it down first, and then I'm just going to keep going all the way to the very end, like that. Then to create the dividers, I have cut some Melon Mambo cardstock to 3 inches by 2 inches, and you're going to need 7 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I'm going to use some Tombow multi-purpose liquid glue, and we're going to adhere it together. So I'm going to start off with one end. I'm just going to put a line of Tombow down one of the ends. I'm just going to take my piece of cardstock and I'm going to put it right against that fold right there. The 2-inch side matches up with the 2-inch side. Make sure the edge of the Melon Mambo piece rests right against that fold, and then you can just kind of fold it over and make sure that it's lined up and secure. Then I'm going to go to the other side, and I'm going to take the end, and again I'm going to put a line of Tombow right along the Designer Series paper piece, and then I'm going to line this one up. Again, make sure it's right against that fold. I'm just going to smooth it down with my fingers, and this is what the back of this accordion fold looks like. Okay, so we're going to do that with all the cardstock pieces. So I'm going to go to the next one. I'm going to skip this segment and go to the next one and put Tombow along there, and then I'm going to put my cardstock right in there. And again, it helps if you can just fold it over and you can smooth that back side and allow the glue to take hold. And then I'm going to do the same for the other side. Skip a segment and then put Tombow in a line along the next one. And then bring this together. The second piece of cardstock is always a little bit harder, but I find if you can kind of fold it down over itself like this, you can get a little bit of leverage to make sure that you can get that stuck down really well. And you can kind of see how the accordion holder is starting to come together. So we skip a segment and go to the next one and put a line down it. Take the next piece of cardstock, put it along there, and then I just smooth down that fold like that. Then I'll go to the other side, put a line down. And I should have mentioned this earlier, when you're doing this, make sure you've got your paper facing the right way after all the trouble you went to make sure it was cut the right way. Make sure it's not ending up upside down on you. And I've got both of mine facing the correct way. You need to make sure you do that when you start off. So again, a line of glue, and then I'm just going to smooth that out. Once you get going on this, it's really easy and it will go a lot faster. I'm just going slow so I can show you. And then we just have 3 more pieces to go. And we're almost at the end. The second last piece. Smooth that down. This accordion holder makes it look kind of cool to have all the little tea bags in their own little separate pocket, and it also makes the side of the holder look really cute because you can see that Designer Series paper peeking out. It makes it really special. And I definitely would recommend using Designer Series paper on the side because it makes it easier for the fold to spring outward. Okay, so we're down to the last piece. So we've got these 2 last pieces, and I actually do put this on the outside rather than the inside. I'm just following the lead of what I was doing before. So this time I'm just going to make sure that it lines up with the edge, and I'm going to smooth that down like that, and then come to the other side, put another line down, and just line that up and Smooth it down like that. Okay, I've got my little accordion holder ready. We're just going to set this aside because we're going to work on the front of the holder now. So remember we had that leftover piece of designer series paper. So I'm going to cut this in half. I'm going to put the 6-inch side up at the top and cut it in half at the 3-inch mark. Like that. Put that piece aside, and then I've got a 3 by 2 inch piece, and I'm going to put the 2-inch side up at the top and put it at the 1-inch mark, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut that. So basically what we're left with is a 3-inch by 1-inch piece of designer series paper, and we're going to use that on the front. Next we're going to bring in the Big Shot, and we're going to use the Cups and Kettles Framelits dies, and I'm going to be using this larger of the 2 teacups, and this is a scrap piece of Wisteria Wonder paper. And we're also going to be using this cute little heart right here. And I've got a scrap piece of Melon Mambo cardstock. This is already set up on my magnetic platform, and I've got one of my cutting plates down, and now I'm going to put my second cutting plate down. You don't necessarily need to use your magnetic platform. You can use your standard cutting platform too. So I'm just going to go ahead and run this through. And here is my cup piece, and here is my heart. So when you take this out, this has this little piece that comes out in the center like that, and then you just pop this out. Just be a little delicate to make sure you don't bend it too much, and then this is how this little heart piece comes out. You can put your Big Shot aside. Next you're going to need a scrap piece of thick Whisper White cardstock and your Wisteria Wonder Ink Pad. And I've got the greeting, "You are terrific," already on a clear block. And I'm just going to ink this up and stamp it down. And then I'm going to take the 1-inch circle punch, and I'm going to center it around my greeting. And once you've got it centered, you can punch it out. Then I'm going to take my 1 1/4 inch scallop circle punch and a piece of Smoky Slate cardstock and punch out one of the pieces. Now we can begin assembling the front of the tea bag holder. So bring back the outer piece of your tea bag holder, and again we're going to use Tombow, and I'm just going to put some Tombow on the back of my greeting. And I'm just going to center this right on my Smoky Slate piece. Like that. And I'm going to take my teacup, and I'm going to put some Tombow on the back of my scallop circle, and I'm going to adhere this right to the center of my teacup. Then I'm going to take my tea bag holder and open it all the way up. So I've got my designer series paper piece. It's 3 by 1 inch, and I actually want to use the reverse side, this Melon Mambo side, just to give a little contrast from the side of the accordions, which is actually the teacups. So I'm going to put Tombow on the back of this piece, and I'm going to adhere this to the front of what will be my tea bag holder. Right here is the score line, so I'm just going to adhere it about 1/4 inch above that score line. Make sure it's nice and straight, and then smooth it down once you like the way it looks. Next we're going to add our little teacup, and I'm just going to put some Tombow on the back, maybe a little on the handle. And then I'm going to adhere that about halfway up on my designer series paper and centered from side to side. That looks pretty good. And then last, for the front, I'm going to adhere my little heart. Put a few little drops of glue on there. And then I'm just going to have that kind of coming up like that. Good. All right, now we need to glue in our accordion insert. And so I'm going to want to glue this right in the bottom here. So we're going to glue in these two sides. So I'm going to put Tombow along here, and a little bit on the center. And the first one's pretty easy to do because you can kind of just align it and then squish it all the way back. Make sure this first one is aligned properly because once you've got it stuck down, it's kind of hard to move it. So you've got a few seconds, but make sure it's centered and it looks good. You can also take the flat side of your bone folder and use it to give a little pressure to make sure that glue is sitting right against that cardstock. Okay, that's pretty good. And then we just need to put some Tombow on this side. Again, making sure right to the edges, a little bit on the inside. And then I'm going to bring this together. And you notice this is kind of springy a little bit, so I'm actually going to have to kind of make sure I pull this over and make sure this is lined up. One of the ones I did got a little bit closer to one side than the other. You can kind of stick your fingers in there and hold that down for a second. And then I'm going to flip this over, and I don't know if you can see this or not. Probably not so good. But I'm taking my bone folder, and again, I'm using the flat of it to push down on that end piece to make sure it is adhering onto there. Okay. Okay. I'm just going to give that a second to set up. And in the meantime, I'm going to cut a 6-inch length of this Whisper White Stitch satin ribbon, like that. And then I'm going to pick some tea bags. I've got some Tasso tea here. I'm going to need 6 of them. And then I'm just going to pop these in to my holder before I close it up. It would be fun to mix and match the teas. Might be cool if you can get a multi-pack of different kinds of teas to put in here, or just put in the person's favorite tea. And then we're just going to tie this up, and the slots are perfect for that. You can just feed your ribbon through on either side like this. And then I actually just do a single knot for this because it will probably be opened. You hope it will be open. So I'm just going to do one little single knot like that. And then I'm just going to take my scissors and cut the ends at an angle like that. And there you go. Your tea bag holder's all done. And I have done these in different colors. The designer series paper has different front sides and back sides in different colors. But if you use the color schemes on the paper, all the colors are listed here. So, you know, we've got Bermuda Bay, Crushed Curry, Melon, Mambo, Pool Party, and Wisteria Wonder. So just choose some of the colors and mix them around if you're using a different paper than the one that I use. But I think you can make a really pretty design no matter which designer series paper you choose out of that pack. The other thing I wanted to point out is I have made the holder large enough to accommodate different sizes of tea bags. I'm a big tea drinker, so I had Twinings tea, I had Bigelow tea, I had Tasso tea. So each of these has a different company of tea bag in here. So this will accommodate most of your standard size tea bags, even if they're slightly wider or taller. Aren't these just adorable? All the supplies you'll need to make this tea bag holder are available for purchase on my blog. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Bye for now.